In this lesson, we are covering how to write your thesis statement for your rhetorical analysis essay. The objective is I can write a strong thesis statement with a precise central claim. So we took a look at the prompt in the previous lesson. What I want you to do now is start thinking about the key moves that Turkle makes to achieve her purpose of persuading her audience that experiencing empathy is a uniquely human experience. If you need to pause and go take a look at your poster to get an idea of what those rhetorical moves are, go ahead and do that. We'll spend some time in a little bit picking some specific moves that you're going to analyze later on in the video. The first thing we need to do is talk about what a thesis statement is in order to communicate the focus of your analysis. And then we're going to look at a model thesis statement together. So on your notes, fill in the blanks. A thesis statement is usually a sentence, sometimes two, but for the purpose of this assignment, it's going to be one, that appears in an introduction and acts as a roadmap for the rest of the essay. When we looked at the rubric at the beginning of the unit, the rubric states that the thesis can be anywhere in the essay, but for the purpose of creating a guide for your essay, we're going to include our thesis at the beginning of the essay. Your thesis will provide your reader with a way to navigate and understand Turkle's argument through a specific lens. So someone who has not read Turkle's argument should be able to use your essay as a guide of the way that she builds her argument. And here is the example thesis statement that we're going to look at together. In the article, "There Will Never Be an Age of Artificial Intimacy," Turkle alarms the reader about what they risk losing as they become increasingly attached to the virtual, and highlights the sacred nature of humanity in order to persuade her audience that empathy is a uniquely human experience. On your notes, I'm going to have you highlight the different elements of the thesis statement and drag and drop the labels so that you can see all of the parts of a thesis statement for a rhetorical analysis essay. So the first thing is the genre. The genre of the text that we are analyzing is an article. Next is the title. "There Will Never Be an Age of Artificial Intimacy." Note that we have capitalized the first letter of each word except for words that are fewer than 4 letters long. We've also put the title in quotation marks because we are properly formatting the text. Next is the author's name. And then next is the first rhetorical move that we're going to be analyzing. The rhetorically accurate verb that I'm using here is alarms. And the second rhetorical move is here, and the rhetorically accurate verb that we're using is highlights. And last is the claim or message, that empathy is a uniquely human experience. Remember that we are analyzing how she builds her argument. So how do these moves work together in order for her to accomplish her purpose? So I have selected these 2 key moves that she is trying to surprise her reader about what they risk losing if they become increasingly attached to the virtual, and contrasting that by highlighting this sacred nature of humanity, what it means to be uniquely human, by using emotionally loaded language in order to accomplish her purpose of persuading her audience of her message. The next step is to identify 2 key moves that Turkle makes in order to build her argument. So take a look at your poster and select 2 key moves from the does side of your poster. What are 2 things that Turkle does in order to accomplish her task of persuading her audience? Add these 2 to your notes. And the last step in the assignment is putting all of that information together and crafting your thesis statement. You can use this sentence frame to structure your thesis to make sure that you include all of the elements that it needs to have. So in the article, There will never be an age of artificial intimacy, properly formatted, of course. Turkle, what's the first rhetorical move that you have identified? Make sure you begin with a rhetorically accurate verb. What's the second rhetorical move? Make sure that begins with a rhetorically accurate verb. In order to persuade her audience that, what is her central claim or message? Once you have that assignment completed, make sure you get it turned in.